Samwise Gamgee, known as Sam, was a hobbit from the Shire. He was Frodo Baggins' gardener, most loyal companion and best friend. He lived with his father, Samwise Gamgee, known commonly as the Gaffer, on Bagshot Row in the Shire, close to Bag End. He had five siblings: Hamson, Halfred, Daisy, May, and Marigold. Sam was the youngest son of Hamfast and Bel Gamgee, a gardener by trade, as his father was for Bilbo Baggins. Sam seemed to be a simple hobbit of plain speech. However, his love for elves, his gift for poetry, and his belief that the world contained greater wonders than most hobbits were aware of, all nurtured by his tutor Bilbo Baggins, set him apart from the beginning. His concern for and loyalty to Frodo led him to become the main spy for the group of conspirators who were closely watching the new master of Bag End. These Frodo's closest friends decided not to allow Frodo leave alone when he finally decided to abandon the Shire and head after Bilbo. Sam was watching his master closely, spying on his every move. He managed to escape detection for a long time, but was caught in the end by Gandalf while eavesdropping on a private conversation he had with Frodo regarding the dangers of the One Ring. As a punishment for his eavesdropping, Gandalf chose Sam to be Frodo's companion on his journey to Rivendell. This proved to be a choice of utmost importance, and a better than even Gandalf expected. Unknown to Gandalf and Frodo, Sam informed his fellow conspirators and worked with them on the covering of not only Frodo's leaf, but his friends too. When Frodo moved to Crickhollow, this secret conspiracy was finally revealed, and Frodo informed not only about its existence, but also about the important part Sam has played in it. Then Sam followed Frodo through the Shire and Old Forest to Bree, meeting Gildor Inglorion with his elves and Tom Bombadil on the way. In Bree, the company acquired Bill the Pony, with whom Sam became very close to. At the Council of Rivendell, there was no doubt about Sam going with Frodo wherever he needs to go, and so they set with 7 other companions south. On arrival at the doors of Durin, the pony, Bill, had to be set loose, as he could not pass through the mines of Moria. This caused some great distress. After getting out of the mines and reaching Lorien, Sam had time to admire the great Malorn trees which grew there, but was also horrified, and even wanted to return back home when Galadriel allowed him to look into her mirror, where he has seen the vision of the destruction of his beloved Shire. But his love for Frodo kept him at his side. Before departing Lothlorien, Sam was given a gift by the Lady Galadriel, a small box containing soil from her garden, along with one Malorn seed, which he put into his already heavy backpack. At Amon Hen, when the orcs attacked, and Frodo decided to leave his companions and continue all alone, Sam was the only one who was able to persuade him to be allowed to come with him. That's how it happened that these two hobbits alone set upon the journey to Mordor. But they were followed by Gollum, and although they were able to capture this foul creature and persuade him to be their guide, Sam never trusted him, and Gollum knew it. Still, it was their new guy who led them through the marshes and persuaded them not to try to get through the Black Gate, but to go south to Imlat Morgul instead. On the stairs running up from the cursed Valley of Sorcery, Gollum finally made Frodo send Sam away and continue with him alone. But Sam, although heart-stricken, did not want to let Frodo go, and therefore, after some hesitation, followed his master up the steps again. After Shelob attacked and seemingly killed Frodo, Sam took the ring, intending to complete the quest on his own. When orcs took Frodo's body, some overheard one of them saying that Frodo was still alive, and so he followed them into the tower of Cirith Ungol, determined to rescue his master. Once in the tower, he found that competing bands of Ungol Uruks and Morgul orcs had rioted and killed one another over the possession of Frodo's mithril coat, thus making it easier for Sam to get to Frodo and escape the tower with him. Because he held the ring for a time, he was considered one of the ring bearers, and during the time he possessed it, the ring tempted him with visions of great garden instead of the current desert in Mordor, all for himself. Being humble, Sam never gave into the treacherous visions and temptations of the ring, and returned it when he discovered Frodo alive in the tower of Cirith Ungol. He and Bilbo were the only ones ever to have given up the ring willingly, and only Sam surrendered it readily. Sam and Frodo made their way to Mount Doom, disguised as orcs. The way to Orodruin was filled with fiery rocks and pillows of ash, which made it almost impossible for the hobbits to pass. When Frodo collapsed from weakness, Sam carried him up the slopes of the fiery mountain, only to be stopped by Gollum. Sam brawled with Gollum, while Frodo continued towards the Crags of Doom. Sam then rushed to follow Frodo, only to see Frodo renounce the quest and claim the ring as his own, putting it on his finger. Unbeknownst to Sam, Gollum had followed in his tracks. At this very moment, Gollum attacked Sam from behind, rock in his fist. Getting rid of Sam for a while, Gollum attacked Frodo, and after a brief struggle, bit the ring off Frodo's hand together with one of his fingers. Gollum began to celebrate regaining the ring, but in doing so slipped and fell to his death in the fiery chasm below, killing himself and destroying the ring in the process. The destruction of the ring triggered a violent upheaval of Mount Doom, but with Sam's assistance, the two hobbits escaped from Sammath Naur onto the mountainside. Though they attempted to descend, the hobbits were trapped by the issue of lava and fiery ash from the mountain. They said farewell to life and each other, expecting to be destroyed by fire or stone any minute. But before death reached them, Gwaihir, the lord of the great eagles, come at the behest of Gandalf, spotted the hobbits from afar. Landroval and Meneldor, Gwaihir's companions, rescued Sam and Frodo and flew them to the safety of Ithilien. Sam and Frodo were healed of their wounds by Aragorn, while still unconscious, upon reaching Ithilien. Sam awoke to his surprise to find Gandalf watching over him. Gandalf led Sam and Frodo to the field of Cormalan, where they were met by the large crowd, who praised the hobbits in many tongues for their heroism and sacrifice. There they also met Aragorn, who revealed himself to the hobbits as the true King of Gondor and Arnor. In the following days, Frodo and Sam were reunited with the surviving members of the Fellowship, and at length those assembled travelled to Minas Tirith for Aragorn's coronation and wedding. A few months afterwards, Sam, along with a great company, including Aragorn, Gandalf, Galadriel, and the other hobbits, left Minas Tirith, travelling towards the Shire by way of Rohan, Isengard, and Rivendell. All but Gandalf led them by the time the company reached the hidden valley where Elrond dwelt, and from there the four hobbits alone returned to the Shire. Upon reaching their native country, however, they were horrified to find it usurped by Sharkey and controlled by his ruffians, with unfriendly hobbits under the rule of Lotto Sackville Baggins, who had begun the process of turning the Shire into an industrial centre, felling trees and despoiling the villages. Sam, Frodo, Merry, and Pippin played an instrumental role in what afterwards became known as the Scouring of the Shire, leading a hobbit uprising which culminated at the Battle of Bywater, where the ruffians were soundly beaten, and the Shire was freed from its ruinous occupation. It was also discovered that Lotto was in fact a puppet of Saruman, who had come north to play his last bit of mischief. Both met their demise in the events prior to and following the Battle of Bywater. Following the scouring of the Shire, Sam travelled the length and breadth of the Shire, planting saplings in all the places where especially beautiful or beloved trees had been destroyed, and he put a grain of the precious earth from the Elf Queen Galadriel's orchard in the soil at the root of each sapling. He paid special attention to Hobbiton and Bywater, but no one blamed him. Spring surpassed his wildest hopes. His trees began to sprout and grow, as if time was in a hurry and wished to make 1 year do for 20. In the party field a beautiful young sapling leaped up. It had silver bark and long leaves, and burst into golden flowers in April. It was indeed a malorn, and it was the wonder of the neighborhood. With his work done, Sam married Rose Cotton, who moved with him to live in Bag End. They had 13 children: Eleanor the Fair, Frodo, Rose, Merry, Pippin, Goldilocks, Hamfast, Daisy, Primrose, Bilbo, Ruby, Robin, and Tolman. When Frodo Baggins announced that he was leaving to the Undying Lands west of Middle-earth, he gave Sam the Red Book of West March, and also Bag End Estate, where Sam and his large personal family, later called the Gardeners, would live for many years. After Will Whitfoot resigned his post as Major of Michel Delving, Sam was elected Major of the Shire for 7 consecutive 7-year-long terms. After his wife died, Sam entrusted the Red Book to his daughter Eleanor and left the Shire. It was a tradition handed down from Eleanor that he went to the Grey Havens, and because he was also a ring-bearer, albeit for a short time, he was allowed to pass over the seas to be reunited with Frodo in the Undying Lands.